Alright, this question says, Phoebe is building a quadratic equation from a table of values. She knows that the standard quadratic equation form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. She is trying to find the a and b values by creating a system of equations from the table below. Which two equations will help her find the a and b values? Alright, well, the important thing to know here is, remember that you can plug in any of these values into the equation y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That is the standard form of any quadratic function. And since we know our x and y values, our inputs and our outputs, we can kind of derive the actual a, b, and c from that equation, and then that'll help us get our actual function. Well, to start, you can see there's a list of equations given. We're not going to jump right into those. We're actually going to plug in a set of values. So let's start with 0 and negative 3. The reason I start there is 0 is the easiest number to plug in. It actually gets rid of a lot of terms, and you'll see here what happens. So we'll start with the actual form, y equals a, and then I'm going to plug in my 0 as x. So a times 0 squared plus b times 0 times x plus c. Okay, so I plugged in my 0. Now the other thing to note here is I know the output already. Okay, I already know what this whole thing becomes. It becomes negative 3. So I'm going to plug that in instead of y. So negative 3 sits there instead of y. I'm going to start simplifying the right side. A times 0 squared. Well, 0 squared is 0 times 0, which is 0. A times 0 is what I'm left with, plus b times 0 plus c. A times 0 is actually just 0. I'm crossing that out. Plus b times 0, that's also 0. So I actually end up with negative 3 equals c. And that is part of the function. So I know this term right here at the end of my function. I know that one. I need to figure out what a and b are now. Okay, so I know c equals negative 3. I'm going to keep that in mind. Let's plug in another point. How about 1? 1 is also very easy to work with. So let's start there. Let's go ahead and write our equation again. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Now I'm going to plug in the 1 right here into my x values. Let's see what happens. Y equals a times 1 squared plus b times 1 plus c. Okay, now remember, I actually do know what c is right here, and I also know what my y is based on the output. So I'm going to plug those in. 0 equals, let's simplify a little bit, a times 1 squared. Well, 1 squared is just 1, so it's 1a plus 1b. I still have that, and then I do know c. I'm plugging that in as my constant. It's negative 3. Okay, so that's where I'm at so far. Now, you'll notice I just have my a and the b, they're on one side, and 0's on the other. That's not great. I want to get my a and b by themselves. So let's get that negative 3 away from there. So instead, I'm going to add 3 to both sides to cancel out the negative 3 on the right. So now I have 0 minus 3 is negative 3 equals a plus b. And you might notice that is actually one of our answers. So if you look at C, it says negative 3 equals a plus b. So that's going to be one of our answers. Let's see if we can find the other one now. This one's going to be the same exact process as the last one. I'm plugging in points again to try to find my a, b, and c. And in this case, we're just going to find the system of equations that will help me find a, b, and c. So this time I'm going to use 2, 1. My x is 2. My y is 1. I'm going to do it a little quicker this time since we've been through this a few times. I'm plugging in 1 as y. That equals a times x, this time is 2, squared, plus b times 2, which is x again. And then I know c is negative 3. Okay, so that's my equation. Let's simplify and find the answer. So 1 equals a times 2 squared. 2 squared is 4, so 4a plus 2 times b plus negative 3. Get rid of that negative 3. Add 3 to both sides because I want to get my variables by themselves. I get 4 equals 4a plus 2b. That's the equation we should be looking for, and you can see it, it's right there as b. 4 equals 4a plus 2b. So my answers in this case are B and C.